Okay, Michael.
Okay, members of the media, we are joined by Deuce McBride. With questions, please use the raise hand feature to ask a question and we'll call on you. Our first question comes from Greg Hunter.
So Deuce, obviously you just played them. So why is this one going to be different? What do you guys got to do differently this time out to make a different result?
I think we really have to come and set the tone early. I think in that last game, I think we came out flat and gave them a lot of confidence. Guys that really don't get to have the ball in their hands with two of their best players out, stepped up and made a lot of plays that game. So I think we need to come out and set the tone and set it early.
Michael Sussman.
Deuce, this group has accomplished a lot of top 10 wins and things like that. How much would it mean to add a conference tournament championship to that list for this group?
Oh, it'd be really huge. I mean, that's one of the things we talk about all the way back in the summer when we first started working out, and obviously doing it for the school and the state would be a tremendous honor.
Next question comes from John and Tony.
Hey, Deuce, how are you doing health-wise, and how difficult was that last week playing all those games in such a short span of time?
Doing a lot better, obviously playing 4 games and I think 8 days takes a stretch on everybody, not just me, but, had some time off here and ready to get rolling.
Was the time off helpful?
Definitely, yeah.
Mentally, physically, walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think when, you go through a whole season, everything that's happening, stopping, starting, who's this opponent going to be? And mentally that can take a toll as well. Obviously being student athletes, you're worried about school and sports. And then when you add something like a whole pandemic onto it, it can take a toll. But, it's what I've wanted to do. I'll do anything to keep playing. So just got to keep going.
Last thing here, Michael, Deuce, did you unplug? Did you just totally get away from it and not think about basketball? Keep your phone off? What did you do during those couple of days off?
Yeah, definitely try to sleep a lot of recovery time. Just, try to take anything that I didn't need and put it away.
No social media?
Try to stay off social media, but that's hard. That's hard.
Thanks, bud.
Our next question goes to Keenan Cummings.
John took my line of questioning there, but Deuce, what has Oklahoma State done in the 2 meetings against you guys to have so much success getting at the rim?
I think they're very good players. Obviously, they do their jobs well, but I think it's a combination of them doing their jobs and us not doing our job. We struggled with defense pretty much the whole year. Even Huggins calling us one of his worst defensive teams ever. So obviously that hasn't been out in the air. So I think it's just a combination of that.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, Deuce, you guys obviously got to this point last year. I mean, you guys were actually in Kansas City when, obviously the rug got kind of pulled out on the season for everyone. As now it's a year later, as you guys get ready to head back into Kansas City, are there any thoughts about it, being a year later and obviously COVID still here? Is there any thoughts about, just getting a chance to play this again and thoughts of, hey, we didn't get to do this last year?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously being a kid growing up watching conference tournaments and seeing plays like Kemba Walker, even remember back when Deshaun had those game winners, just growing up on things like that and then having a chance to do it and having it taken away from you so quickly, it really hurt a lot of us, especially those seniors that didn't get a chance to play in the postseason. So very excited. Like I said, we want to set the tone early for starting with this game on Thursday and carry it out through the rest of the postseason.
And then as a kind of a different question here, obviously, Cunningham's probably going to play on Thursday, and you guys saw him earlier in the year. You guys guard good guards. You guys guard good players throughout the course of the year, but this kid's probably going to be the number 1 pick or number 2 pick in the draft. Does that add anything more to it when it's somebody of that caliber?
I respect all of my opponents pretty much equally. Fear none of them. I'm always going to step up to the challenge, be a competitor. Absolutely. I know he's going to do great things. He's a great player. Obviously, he deserves the accolades he's getting and everything. But as a challenger and a competitor, I'm not going to back down from anyone. And I don't think any of my teammates would say anything different.
Thanks, Deuce.
Ethan Bach.
Oh, this is perfect off of Justin's question, Deuce. We watch Cade play and we know how good he is as a player, but what does he do in his play style is just so impressive to you?
He's really poised as a player. I think he understands that, he's a lot bigger than obviously most guards. So he knows when to take guards down into the post. And obviously, we know he can step out and make shots and really controls the ball well. He really finds the open man really well. He just knows how to play the game really well. You can tell, he's been doing it for a while, and they have a great system for him to really shine.
Back to Greg Hunter.
Deuce, you talked about it a little bit ago in terms of postseason. I mean, you played 60-some games in your college career and haven't played a postseason game. So are there going to be nerves? Is postseason different? You guys only have a few guys that have actually played postseason with, Derek and I guess Emmett and Jordan. So have you talked to them? What's this going to be like?
Honestly, I can't tell you. They said it's a different experience. Obviously, when they were freshmen, they weren't that good, and they ended up, winning those 2 games. And it's going to be a different atmosphere. But like you said, it's still postseason basketball, so I think things are going to mean a little bit more every possession. Especially playing against other Big 12 teams and going into the tournament, everything's going to mean just a lot more.
Keenan Cummings.
I'm not sure why I had my hand up. I actually took it down.
Okay. It's up right now, so please lower it. John Antoni. John, you're on mute.
All right. Hear me now?
Yep.
Hey, Deuce, you guys are 10-3 on the road or away from the Coliseum, 8-5 at home. Why do you think you guys have played better on the road this year?
Maybe it has to do with, other teams not having as many fans in the crowd, or I think, I personally like playing on the road a little better, going into someone else's home and beating them. I think it means a lot more when you can quiet their crowd down and kind of take a road win away.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Carly Nevis.
You mentioned Hugs calling you guys one of the worst defensive teams. How do you let that fuel you to prove him wrong?
Definitely got in here and watched film and try to understand why we're letting some of those things happen. But honestly, me being a heavy-minded defensive player, that really grinds my gears, I guess I could say. Obviously, it's not something you want to be a part of, being one of the worst of anything. And I think it's going to be a lot of guys stepping up and showing a little bit more pride on defense.
Ryan Frick.
Hey, Deuce, a 2-parter. Just first of all, curious, when's the last time you played a basketball game that started in the morning? And second of all, you mentioned you guys came out flat the last game. Do you think it's harder to get energy up when you start early, or does it matter to you guys?
Honestly, I don't know when last time I played an early morning basketball game, but like I said, a lot of it's going to be just us being ready to go early in the morning out there. I think it's going to come from just not being in a postseason game. So get energy from that. And, I think they're going to be a little nervous from some guys, but overall we've been playing basketball our whole lives, and it's not going to be anything different.
Mike Piazza.
Hey, Deuce, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Well, thank you. Going back on some of the experience points on your team and guys who have played, Emmett's one of those guys, and he's played pretty well in Marches in the past. Even that Baylor game last year wasn't a tournament, but important. Not to single it out, but a guy like him who does so many things that are valuable and has kind of been there and is on the floor an awful lot. Do you, to others, look at him and say, hey, really could use you right now. You've done this, you can help us out, and we can go further now.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're gonna try to reach out to everybody. Everybody's gonna play a huge part, and obviously those with more experience as younger guys, we gotta listen to them. Obviously the coaches, they've been there, done that, but when it's a player that one of your peers have done it before, I think you listen a little more, and it's easier to talk to them than maybe it is a coach or somebody on the staff. So looking to him, looking to Gabe, those are going to be huge for us.
Okay, Deuce, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ready whenever you are, Mess.
Okay, we'll go to Coach Bob Huggins now. First question from Greg Hunter.
So Bob, just look at postseason overall. How different is what this team's going to experience postseason wise than the regular season?
Because it's one and done. You lose, you're done. You can't come out and be flat. You can't. You got to bring your best game every time out. Otherwise, you're back home watching it on TV.
We'll go next to Barry Trammell.
Yeah, Bob, across college basketball this year, the coaches have sort of caught up to you and gone casual because of the pandemic. Do you expect that to continue? And why did you sort of blaze the trail for that? And why did it take a pandemic for people to follow?
Well, it's a long story. I was at Cincinnati, and it was every game was sold out, and it was hot as heck in Shoemaker Center. And I go in at halftime, I'm soaking wet. My suit coat is soaking wet. My pants, everything soaking wet. My athletic director at the time said, "I don't know why you guys wear suits. You should just wear a light pullover or something like that." And so I went in. I couldn't wear the suit I had on anyway. I didn't bring another one, so I put this pullover on, and I thought, well, this is really what coaches do. I mean, I'm not a banker. I'm not a financial analyst. Why can't I wear what I want to wear? So I have worn it ever since. And it just didn't catch on with the pandemic. I mean, there were a lot of guys. Greg Campy started wearing one shortly after. Izzo wore one shortly after. So, I mean, it hasn't been, it wasn't like that the pandemic caused it. I think it was just coaches saying, we're coaches. We're not businessmen. We're coaches.
So you expect your peers to sort of stay with the new trend?
Quite frankly, I don't care. That's up to them. I know I'm comfortable, and they need to be comfortable in whatever they feel comfortable in.
Thanks, Bob.
We'll go next to Michael Sussman.
Coach, you've been a part of plenty of deep runs in conference tournaments, going to this Big 12 championship multiple times. Obviously, the 2010 team comes to mind as far as all-time great conference tournament performances. What does it take from your experience to sustain a high level of play in March and position yourself to make a run in this thing?
Well, I think it helps, if you win the games you're supposed to win and you get a higher seed, you're not going to play as hard a game the first day out. You're going to play a team towards the bottom of the league that hasn't had a lot of success in the league. So I think that helps considerably. That's why you see the 1 and 2 seeds advance through tournaments more than you see other people advance through it, is because they don't have as hard a road to go. And that's what I tried to explain to our guys before our last game. And obviously it fell on deaf ears, but I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And maybe playing against people that are good for you to play against, people that you defend pretty well, or people that you can score on.
Coach, a question from Bob Hertzel. How do you get a team to take that one big step up come tournament time?
I don't know. I've done this for, however many years, and I honestly don't know. It's, it's different with all different teams. We tried a lot of things to try to get, we could see that this team was starting to drag a little bit and didn't have a lot of bounce. And contrary to what happened a year ago, we were all excited because we had all kind of bounce and practices were terrific. And then it got canceled, and I think most people around the program thought that they would understand that, this can go away real quick. And obviously they didn't.
Follow up from Bob, you spent all year trying to get this team to play defense the way you wanted them to, and it didn't happen. Was it possible to do it in the past few days?
We didn't practice the last few days, so obviously not. We're going to practice today, but we didn't practice the last 2 days. We looked at film yesterday.
John Antoniuk.
A couple here. Thinking back, is it unusual to start this early in the day, basically a morning game? Concerns there with that?
I don't know. You know what, John? These guys grow up playing AAU, and AAU sometimes starts at 8 a.m. Contrary to when a lot of coaches would like for it to start. But that's when I saw JC 8 o'clock in the morning, cup of coffee, my hat on, and he's out there full court pressing.
He's an 8 a.m. kind of guy, though.
He was that day.
Yeah. Another thing here, how much different were they without Cunningham and Likely, and how much different do you think they'll be with them back?
I don't know if Likely will be back. He had a cast on his hand from what I saw.
Okay.
Obviously, Gabe Cunningham's a great player. MVP in the league. He's the real deal. When you have a player like that, you have somebody to go to. But I think, the other guys played really well. Mike did a great job of getting those guys ready to play, contrary to what we did.
We'll go now to Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach, I was hoping you might be able to clear something up here for me. With COVID rules in the postseason, if one person on the team, like if you guys get to Kansas City and one guy tests positive, would you still be able to play as a team, or would that eliminate the team? What's the rule?
My understanding, Justin, I think it kind of depends on contact tracing. They're all going to wear those, whatever they're called, those little things that tells you how close you are to people for how long a period of time. And I think it would depend on, contact tracing, and would we have enough guys to play, I would think.
So it wouldn't necessarily be if you lose a guy, then the team gets eliminated then.
Well, I think that was initially was what it was.
Okay. All right.
But I think with the technology that we have now, I think, it may be after they do a very thorough job of contact tracing. But it depends. It depends on contact tracing and what comes out of that.
And then my follow-up is, obviously your guys have been really careful and have gone out of their way to make sacrifices to get to this point. obviously the stakes are higher now. Do you continue to just say, hey, COVID's still out there? You know, we don't want to lose what we've built, or I mean,
But Justin, I've had it. I didn't know I had it, but I had it. And I've been immunized and the whole deal. And I still have to, I just got swabbed a little bit ago. This is about, if we continue to, if we win in the conference tournament and go to the NCAA, we're going to get tested every single day.
Right.
It's kind of like, it's almost become like part of your daily ritual.
Mike Casaza.
Hey Bob, how are you?
I'm okay, Mike.
I have two for you if you don't mind. One is just about Emmett. I'm just curious where he stands with you now and how much you can use a guy like him who's played and played pretty well in different March settings. And then I'll come back to the second one if you want to go.
Well, Emmett has pretty much played as much or more than anybody on our team. And we've pretty much put him on the best player of the other team. He's a versatile guy who is long, and so he can affect people with his length. He's got pretty good feet, and he's made big shots for us. He's the one that got the deal rolling down at Texas. He's the one that kept us in it the first half against Oklahoma State.
And then secondly, you've mentioned just I don't know, kind of the fading focus for the team, and this seems like such a weird season. It's very long and it's gone a little bit longer, and they didn't get the postseason last year. Do you think the approaching postseason just kind of gets guys into the hurry up mode and let's get to something new and exciting that we didn't have last year? Regular season gets old, I would guess, after a while.
I don't know how to answer that. I could make something up, but I don't know how to answer that. I was dumbfounded that they weren't more ready to play against Oklahoma State than what they were.
Back to Greg.
Bob, playing the same team in back-to-back games is unusual, at least for you guys at West Virginia. I haven't found one in 30 years, or there was one 30 years ago in similar circumstance. So what good points, bad points of playing the same team, same scout, though obviously Cunningham makes it a little bit different.
Well, you know about as much about it as I do, because I can't remember coaching back-to-back games against anybody. I may have, but I don't remember it. So I don't know. Guys, if we go out the way we went out the other day, we're not going to have a whole lot of success. Let's be honest. I'm standing out there watching our guys shoot the ball in warm-ups, and we didn't make any. We talk about our defense is bad. Our defense has been bad all year. We did not make any shots. And when you don't guard, you better make shots. And if you look at this team, has to be as high a scoring team as we've had here in quite a while, I would think. And but we have to score the ball to win. And look at the shooting numbers. Guys they're not good. They're really good shooters. We had a guy who has just, shot the leather off of it, and he didn't hit the rim twice. And it wasn't close. He missed by 2 feet twice. I don't know how you explain that. But I think a lot of it has to do with, your mental preparation and how much you're really into it, the mental side of it. But I'd like to have answers. I'd like to be able to tell you something very intelligent, but I'd be making it up if I tried.
Cody Nesper.
Hey, Coach. You talked a lot about the lack of a shot blocker on Saturday, and I'm just kind of curious what goes into somebody being good at blocking shots, and then what made Sagaba so good at it?
what makes them good at blocking shots is that they block shots. And Sags not only could block shots, he could control it. I mean, Sags, how many did Sags catch? I mean, he'd catch it with one hand, he'd catch it with two hands. He'd block it and retrieve it. Sometimes for emphasis, he'd throw it to half court. He could get to the ball, and he got to the ball, and I mean, I don't remember seeing very many people that had the timing that he had. He had great timing, absolutely great timing.
If there's no further questions for Coach, John, you will have the last one.
Yeah, I have two quick ones here. In your experiences, when you give teams off after they played at subpar, is it worked? Do you tell them, hey, get away, just totally, put your phones down, get off social media, get away from it? What's your message to them when you do something like that?
John, I've done a lot of things that I never did before. I mean, quite frankly, if we had played that bad and that uninspired when I was younger,
you run them to death
into the ground.
Yeah. With your glasses on.
So, and they knew it, and they knew it. So,
Hey, your Cincinnati guys used to tell me that.
Well, I mean, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I don't know, John, everybody well, it's a different kind of kid. Why is it a different kind of kid? What's different? I mean, I don't either you love to play or you don't love to play. Either you love to win or even better, you detest losing. You detest it. It's like the old boy said, what the heck was his name? Coach Gardner brought him in here. I can't think what his name was now. He said he wants guys that play defense like a crazed, gnawing rat. We don't get any rats out there. Our rats already stole the cheese. They're just, and we have guys who, by and large, were asked to score where they came from. And if you're a high school coach, a junior college coach, or for that matter, a high major coach, you don't generally put your best offensive player on their best offensive player because you don't want your guy in foul trouble. I had to learn to guard when I got to college because I didn't guard anybody. I had the worst guy because they needed to keep me on the floor in high school. Needed to keep me on the floor. I got guys, I mean, why don't I put Derek on the point guard? Because I need Derek. We need Derek on the floor. You got guys that you have to have on the floor. And as hard as you work on not fouling, I mean, what's a foul? I mean, I went back and looked at the tape. I don't know. I don't know what a block charge is anymore. I know what it is. I just don't know what they're going to call it. You're muted. I think they muted you, John.
All right, there you go. Last one here. You're 8-5 at home and you're 10-3 on the road. Can you explain that this year?
No, I can't. I think a lot of it is, and I think a couple of the guys said yesterday, if we were allowed to have and generally at the end of the year we have 12 to 14,000 people in there every game, and certainly gives you a lift. And our guys were talking about that the other day. That they said that the fans tend to really pick you up. And they're talking about from when they go from the practice facility to the Coliseum, people cheering, yelling their names, excited about the game. Go in the Coliseum, of course, everybody's excited in there. The noise, the atmosphere. I think probably that has something to do with it. But I don't have answers. So I guess I could make it up like some guys do, but I just I don't know. When you think you've seen about everything, you haven't.
Coach, I think that's all the questions. Appreciate your time today.
That's really good, Miss, because I'm out of answers.
Stand by. We'll try to get some additional student athletes before practice. Okay, Michael.
Members of the media, we're joined now by Jalen Bridges. Questions for Jalen. John Antoni.
Hey, Jalen, what'd you do during your a couple of days the Hugs gave you off? Did you just kind of just walk away from basketball a little bit, try to recharge your batteries a little bit?
Yeah, because I'd say I'm the type of person, I get in my own head a lot. So that game on whatever day it was, I think Saturday against Oklahoma State, I didn't play well. I was in my head. So I just I shot after the game, and then I shot Monday, yesterday, like after study hall. And that's really it. Just trying to refresh my mind, stay in a positive mindset, especially into this deep stretch of the season.
Real quick, Jalen, was it helpful to get away a little bit?
For sure, yeah. Because I'd say, like, for me, especially, like, I get super down on myself. I miss shots. And then even if I do go in and work, I'm just so focused on the last game, so focused on what I did wrong, that I really don't get anything out of it. So I think it was important for me to take, like, an extra day off and just refresh myself and be ready to go today for practice.
Greg Hunter.
So Jalen, following up with that, then do you think you've been able to put the last game behind you at this point?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we're gonna end up playing them again on Thursday, but like last game's done with. We can't change anything about it. We just gotta focus on getting better today in practice, getting better tomorrow, and coming out like a different team on Thursday.
And then to follow another question, I guess the last postseason game you would have played would have been the Charleston Civic Center. So you haven't played in college, but is postseason different?
There's always that little added pressure, but at the same time, everyone plays harder because you never know when it's going to be your last game. So I'd say it's just a lot more intense on every level.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, Jalen, congratulations on making the all freshman team. What was that like for you?
Honestly, I was kind of shocked because I'm kind of late to all this. Like I went from not really being in the rotation to being a starter. And then just to see my name on that list with those other guys, it's just truly a blessing.
And then, maybe you could make it again next year, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
I guess. Hey, a more serious question here. You guys are obviously getting ready to go to Kansas City. I mean, you've lived life through this pandemic and made a lot of sacrifices just to get to this point. Obviously now the stakes are much higher. Life is certainly going to be different. I think they're going to try to create like a bubble kind of atmosphere there. I mean, you guys kind of talked about, I'm guessing you won't be allowed to, go see family members and, you guys won't be going out to restaurants. I mean, it's going to be, the longer you stay in the tournament, the more sacrifices. Have you guys kind of talked about, what that's going to be like for you guys at all?
I mean, we're a tight group. So outside of 1 through 14, however many players we have, we can sacrifice whatever and we'll still be good. But it's gonna definitely be a different like environment because I've personally never been in a bubble before, and I don't know how it's gonna look. I don't know if we're doing it in Kansas City, but at least we're gonna be not allowed to even leave the hotel in Indianapolis. So it's definitely gonna be different, but I think we'll be okay because we've been dealing with this COVID stuff for the past year now. So I think we're kind of used to it.
Is it worth it in the long run? I mean, to be locked up in a hotel and maybe not just a hotel, but a hotel room for hours upon hours just to play a basketball game?
I mean, if you want to win, if you want to win at the highest level and get to that next level, there's really nothing that comes along with this that isn't worth it. Like every experience, you can learn something from it. Win or lose, you can learn something. And if you really want to do something with basketball, then I really think that it's all worth it.
Thank you, Jalen. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Mike Tazaza.
Hey, Jalen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I have 2 questions for you, if you don't mind. One is, it's just kind of maybe like a human nature thing, but you guys are at the end of a long season that's actually a little bit longer than it was supposed to be. And I imagine the regular season gets old and postseason is there and you just want to get into it and try something new and exciting and also different that you didn't have last year. Can that explain anything about how maybe Saturday wasn't as sharp or as energetic as it could have been for you guys?
I would say that we were just kind of content. Like we thought that we would just be able to walk in and beat them because they didn't have Cunningham or Likely. And I feel like that's really the reason we just came out flat. There's really nothing that can justify that or explain that. We just got to be better on Thursday.
Okay. And then secondly, not a ton of postseason experience on your roster. There are a few guys and like for a player like you in a similar position, Emmett has to be a valuable resource too. What do you and what do your teammates look to from someone like him?
I mean, him, Jordan, and DC, and Gabe too, because he's played in conference tournaments. He's played in the NCAA tournament. We just really have to look to them. Like they're the ones that have been here, done that, and we're just new to the party. So it's going to be important that those guys keep a positive mindset no matter what's going on, and we just stay together. That's all we try to do is say, just stick together no matter what, and we'll be successful.
Back to John and Tony.
Okay, Jalen, I'm not sure you can answer this, but I'll ask it. You guys are 8-5 at home, and you're 10-3 away from the Coliseum. Why have you played so much better away from the Coliseum this year?
I don't even know, honestly. Like, I feel like when you go to somebody else's place, you always want to spoil that home victory that they should have because at home you're supposed to win. That's just how it is. But when you're on the road, you just want to take that from that other team. And then at home, it's like sometimes the home team just comes out flat. They're not ready to play. And then the team that comes in, they just have way more energy. And whatever happens, happens. And you saw that on Saturday.
Do you think you have a little more focus when you're on the road and you're together and you're away from people?
I'd say to a point, yeah, because you're really, other than your phone, you're really cut off from your normal world. Like we're more comfortable in Morgantown, obviously, and out in, let's just say Lubbock, some like Lubbock. We don't really have the same connections that we have. We're not as comfortable. We're always doing something. We're always all together, even though we're together a lot here, but we're literally together 24/7 at the hotels. So I don't know if that has anything to do to it, but if it has anything to do with it, those are the reasons right there.
Gotcha. Thanks.
No
Final
problem.
question for Jalen comes from Justin Jackson.
Hey, Jalen, I was asking Deuce about this. Obviously, you guys have guarded a lot of good offensive players throughout the course of the year. But on Thursday, obviously with Cade Cunningham, he's going to be like the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft. So, and obviously you guys played against them earlier in the year. But when you're playing somebody at that level or with that stature, I guess, does that add anything more to it from a personal standpoint to say, hey, I want to kind of see how I match up against somebody like that, as opposed to just, other good college players?
Yeah, I would say to a point for sure, because especially his position, he's projected top 5, top 3 in the NBA draft, and every kid at this level wants to be in that position. So you're obviously going to use this game to compare yourself where you're at with him. But every single person at D1 basketball they're talented. So, I mean, every single game is somebody that you just have to be ready to play. And he's just another one of those guys. He just happens to be considered a top 5 consensus NBA draft pick next year.
Okay, Jalen, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Okay, members of the media, we are joined now by first team All Big 12 selection Derek Culver. Questions for Derek. Greg Hunter.
So Derek, start with the first team All Big 12. Obviously a wonderful honor. What was your reaction when you heard?
Thank you, I appreciate it. But I was quite surprised, to be honest with you. You know, nothing too like I wasn't really like thinking about it, to be honest with you, until like my coach had brought it up. He was like, you might be like in the talks of making that team selection. So, you know, like I was in the back of my head, but it was nothing like I was like focused on, to be honest with you. But it's a great honor to be, you know, mentioned. I'm very, you know, appreciative of that.
The next question comes from Carly Nevis.
Derek, Deuce was mentioning how you guys heard that Hugs called you one of the worst defensive teams he's ever had. Does that piss you guys off? Does it motivate you?
Yeah, it does, because coach is gonna be hard on us, but me and the guys, we know, like, we know what we can do. So like, it kind of made us mad, but nothing like to the point like we got like down about it. It was just more of like a fire that was lit under us.
Cody Nesper.
Hey, Derek. In addition to the first team All Big 12, you scored your 1,000th point on Saturday. I'm not sure if you knew right when you did it, but just what was that like for you?
That was a pretty big moment. Like I said, that was something else I didn't know I was creeping up on. Once I heard the announcement go over the jumbotron, I looked up and I seen they said 1,000 point. But that was nice. That was something that was special for me to be able to see that.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, Derek, congratulations on your honors there, man.
Thank you.
Hey, obviously you guys got to this point last year. You were in Kansas City when the world changed, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, here you are, back to the same place again a year later. COVID's still here, obviously. So just kind of talk about a little bit about, things can still happen. Things can still change. And, you remember what happened last year, and we don't want it to happen this year. I mean, there's still probably a lot of feelings, I would imagine,
Right.
Concerning that subject because, COVID's still here, obviously.
Right, exactly. No, that's 110% true. Me and the team, like it can get taken away in a moment. Like, we seen that last year. We were so amped up to play, so ready to play, go out there, show people that what we've been working on. To get it taken away like that, it was kind of drained you out a little bit, kind of made you like step back, like wow, like all that just for that. So, with that being said, we just know, we just can't take any moment for granted, to be honest with you. So, like with that being said, we're just gonna go out there and play, like it's our last game. So, eventually it could be, because at this point in time, it's just it's want to go home. So,
And then as far as playing in the postseason, obviously you guys didn't get to do it last year. So really it's you, Emmett, and Jordan, and I think Gabe from his Arkansas days of the only guys on the team who've actually kind of experienced this. So, do you give some words of wisdom to some of the other guys on what to expect and, things like that?
yes, sir. Of course, you just always want to make like the new guys feel comfortable, even though they're not really new guys, because they've been here the whole season. But like you said, that they're new to the postseason. So with that being said, just have to tell them like to keep their emotions, just keep everything calm and cool. Just let your game come to you. Just don't try to do play out of your game because you're on a certain stage. Just let everything come within the continuity of the the system that we're playing in. So I feel like if they do that, which I know they will, we're going to be fine.
Derek has time for one more question before practice. The last question comes from John Antoni.
Hey, Derek, just curious, what did you do during the time that Hugs gave you off? And was there maybe a message here that he sent you guys for having a couple of days off?
Oh, yes, sir, for sure. He just told us, get our heads together because, like, this is the time, like, everything that we did this whole season, this is what we're doing it for. These last couple of weeks of playing basketball, this is what we came to do. So, just keep that on your mental within these next 48 hours. When we come back, do what we have to do and, head off to the tournament. But, just keep it on your mind that, the whole purpose of all of this is what he was trying to get across.
Okay, Derek, it's time for your practice. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Members of the media, that concludes our session for today. Thank you very much for joining. Once again, West Virginia will play Oklahoma State on Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Thank you.